as an individual, do you think that the mighty nations through history that are nothing, indeed less than nothing before God, that you, puny man, you can thwart the will of God? Absolutely not. Who would dare to take such a position? Here they are, these two gentlemen have. God works all things after the counsel of his will, even keeping those kings who want to commit adultery from committing so. And when he wants to, he orders those to commit adultery when he wants to. And let's get back to the Bible.
We're trying to get a clearer understanding of your
We do not
view.
affirm free will, sir. That's it.
Well,
We've
I
already
understand
told
you don't,
that.
so I'm asking you.
You said the statements made no sense. I'm telling you, is it clear now? We do not affirm free will.
That much I said before I asked the first question. I asked about your view of providence, not free will. I asked if you affirmed the confession because he said so, and then I asked you what your view of providence, which is not the same thing as free will. So if you could answer the question about providence
from Scripture.
Okay, but we're trying to get a definition of what that is. You still haven't defined what you believe.
Yes, I believe that Ephesians 1:11 clarifies our position.
So you don't believe there is any free will, yet the confession that you say you adopt, it gives a definition in chapter 9 of free will, and it gives...
Can you please put the confession away? We're not here to discuss the confession.
Okay, then can you give us a definition of providence besides a question-begging interpretation of Ephesians 1:11?
It's not question begging. It's the clear statement of Scripture.
We agree with the clear statement of Scripture of Ephesians 1:11.
So you agree that God does everything after the counsel of his will?
It says that God works all things. It's present tense. God is at work in the present for all things after the counsel of his will.
So everything that comes to pass is after the counsel of his will?
No, God works with everything that comes to pass.
No, that's not what it says.
It says...
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so what is your view of providence?
God ordains the end from the beginning. This is Acts 15. This is Isaiah 46.
So there is no free will at all under your...
I've said that already. Please, let's move on.
All right, but do you believe there is a free will according to the...
No, I don't believe in free will.
Many apologists use the theodicy defense of free will. Rabbi Zacchariades, William Lane Craig, C.S. Lewis.
We don't affirm free will.
Classically, I understand.
We don't affirm.
But what I'm trying to ask is, what is your theodicy? In other words, how do you explain the problem of evil as an apologist whenever you deface somebody who's objecting to...
I've already explained that up here when I spoke. I said that God has decreed from himself, according to the most wise and holy counsel of his will, all things whatsoever comes to pass.
So everything's done by sovereign decree to demonstrate his power. Even the Holocaust, rape,
everything
murder,
comes to pass.
He decrees it to demonstrate his power.
Everything comes to pass.
So your view of providence, then, if I understand your selective choosing from the confession, which you just quoted, is that God has decreed, and in that sense, that means that he has meticulously determined all thoughts, words, and deeds and events that take place in the cosmos that are necessary events.
I've already explained the definition. God hath decreed from in himself all things whatsoever that comes to pass.
Right, that's a statement.
Okay.
I'm asking for your explication of the statement.
My what kind? My what?
To explain your view of that statement.
My view of that statement is that God decrees everything. Nothing comes to pass that God did not decree.
Right. So does that entail that all things that come to pass are of necessity? They could not have been.
We're not fatalists. We don't affirm necessity, okay? We have gone on record to tell you, look, we don't hold to free will.
Yeah,
in the spectrum of ideas, okay? Yeah. In the spectrum of ideas, you start off with Pelagianism, then semi-Pelagianism, where you guys are, then semi-Augustinianism, then semi-Augustinianism,
semi-Gnosticism,
then
where you guys are.
Molinism, and then you have soft determinism, okay? Then you have determinism, and then you have fatalism. People like, what's his name, Hugh McCann. You know, he's a determinist. These are different positions. That's not what we're affirming. We don't affirm that this is the only way things could be because we affirm a personal agent behind the created order.
With respect, it's really hard to know what you affirm because the statement you sent us for preparation of this debate...
I didn't send you anything, sir. I didn't send you anything.
I'm sorry, Sonny, your opponent.
It's a summarization of faith. It's a summarization of faith. We don't have, I mean...
The debate is
we're here to debate. It's about the Bible. The debate topic is, what is a biblical view of free will? That's the debate topic. What is a biblical view of free will?
There is no free will.
There's no free will at all.
Yeah, we're not arguing free will.
So, but you're saying that... So I'm asking you...
The question be different. We affirm that the biblical view of free will is that there is no free will.
What is the biblical view of free will? And that presumes there is a biblical view of free will. And you come in here saying you don't believe in that the Bible teaches free will at all. And
No,
it
teaches an enslaved.
You do.
I did not send you anything, sir.
Your group sent us this. Saying
I don't know what he sent. I'm not privy to that. No, we're not here to debate.
So,
our position is that the Bible teaches man's will is enslaved. Okay?
You're not here to debate?
He's dead in his trespasses and sins.
Did you say you're not here to debate?
No, I said we're not here to debate the...
No, that's fine. I was just asking for clarity because you gave us a spectrum from, well, it actually goes from hard libertarianism all the way to fatalism.
Whatever, each one to his own.
But you say you don't like the whole spectrum.
No, I said that I'm not a fatalist. I am a hard determinist.
You are a hard determinist.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm a consistent Calvinist. I affirm what Leighton said about John Calvin.
Right.
That there is no permission, there is no soft, notion of
but you did argue,
God is honored
you did argue in your
in
opener,
everything that comes to pass. He's going to be glorified in everything.
But you did argue in your opener that God restrained the king from committing adultery. What is he restraining if not the free will of the king?
No, I didn't presuppose that he has free will. I already told you I don't believe. I said that
what is he restraining?
He restrained it. Now, if your view is correct, then why didn't he let him do what he wanted to do?
So God restrains the sins he never decreed to take place in the first place?
God restrains his own determination?
No, you misunderstand the point.
Well, you just said that you're a determinist, so that God determines everything. So
yes.
God determines
everything that comes to pass, including sins, including the destruction of Jericho, including when a person falls. Yes, all of these things.
So you believe that God...
I believe God determined for Adam to fall.
Yes, and you believe that God restrained the sexual intercourse that God never decreed to obtain.
No, I'm not saying
well,
he didn't decree. I'm saying that at this point in the narrative, we don't know what God's decree is. You don't know what God's decree is, and I don't know what God's decree is. Nobody knows what God's decree is.
What we're trying to get to is if
what I'm saying is, under your view, how do you make sense of a passage like this?
Let us ask a question, okay? When Jonah wanted to flee Nineveh, God interrupted, sent a big fish, a storm, to make him change his will. That demonstrates freedom of the will because God is changing his will. His will is to run. God's will is for him to go to Nineveh.
So you're saying that God orders people's will?
Correct. God can, and he does sometimes convince, persuade through natural means, blinding lights, big fish.
But then when's free will? You're arguing for freedom of choosing one way and the other.
Well, it's still our Q&A, so just...
You begin with a definition of free will, so I don't understand the question.
Okay, I think our time is up.
Okay, I'll go with the first question. Given your view that God doesn't predestinate anyone to hell, how do you account for Judas?
My view that God doesn't predestinate anyone to hell, how do I account for Judas?
Yes.
Well, with Judas, it was foretold that Jesus would be betrayed. But again, we don't believe that foreknowledge is causation. Foreknowledge means foreknowledge. And so God foreknew that Judas would betray Jesus, and said so centuries prior that Jesus would be betrayed. That we believe that God has omniscience, and that's a divine attribute of God.
Okay. Well, you claim that you believe in libertarian free will. I don't believe that you've demonstrated that philosophical definition is grounded in Scripture. It's not there. How does
what about your definition of choice?
Okay, I haven't finished my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How does your definition of free will line up with passages like Romans 9:16, which says it's not of him that wills, of Ephesians 2, where we're dead in trespasses and sins, in 2 Timothy 2:25 and 26, where it says that people outside of Christ are bound by the devil to do his will. Also in Ephesians 2:8 and 9, what we have is God saying that when you believe, it is not of yourselves. So how does free will play into these verses?
The exact way that I said in my opening statement. So we affirm that man is dead in sin. We affirm that man is a slave to sin. We also affirm what those metaphors mean. So, to say dead in sin, for example, okay, the body without the spirit is dead. Do you agree with that statement in the book of James, that is a way that they understood?
I agree with every statement in the Bible.
Okay, good. So they understood death as a separation of the body from the spirit, because life was the breath of life breathed in the dirt, okay? So that sense of separation, the body without the spirit is dead, becomes the basis for the metaphor. Now, in the metaphor for dead, the dead metaphor, if you want to call it spiritual death or metaphorical death, that Paul is speaking about is the same as you find in the garden, where God said, the day you eat this fruit, you will surely die. He lived 930 years later, but he was immediately separated from access, cut off from the tree of life. Okay, you go to Jesus and the prodigal son, he uses dead in the same way. The son was far off, and then he had become brought near. He was once dead, but now he is alive. Paul uses it the same way as a metaphor. If you look at Ephesians 2, what does dead mean? Dead means you were dead in your trespasses and sin, you were far off, you were cut off, you were excluded, lacked access. What does being made alive? Brought near, reconciled, and so forth. The context of the Bible explains its metaphors. You don't have to dump theological freight from outside the Bible to determine what these statements mean in their context. So we understand dead in sin means that you are cut off.
So
it doesn't follow that when God extends his grace to us, that means we have no capacity to respond to God's grace.